Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast, a podcast where we invite you to be a part of their world. We're your hosts, Jared and James, and today we're talking about Set 1 reprints. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another week. Last week we talked about FOMO, which was actually a pretty good discussion. So if you missed that, make sure to go back and check it out. This week, we are talking about Set 1 and Set 2 reprints. We are once again joined by the one and only Eric Switzer of The Gamer. How's it going, Eric?
Welcome, my little Lumineers, the ASMR episode of Citizens of Lorcana.
Nobody told me we were going to be doing ASMR for this.
Hi, friends.
It's good to see you again.
You too, man.
Yeah, it's always fun when we have you on.
What am I, a three-peat?
Three-peat.
First three-peat.
A jacket or something next time, or
you get our appreciation.
I'll bring you a little piece of paper I scribble on next time I see you.
All right, cool. I'll take a little piece of paper. Yeah. Sure.
So I also, before we jump into the meat of the episode today, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we have been doing podcasts. This podcast has been in existence for over a year now. The very first episode was recorded September 27th of last year. And here we are a year later, still going.
Wow.
How's it feel to stick with it, you know?
When I started this, I wasn't sure where it would go, how long it would last. And you can ask James, there are many times where I'm like, I don't want to do this week.
But
it's like he says, every time we start, every time we get on the call, it's like, okay, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad we're doing this. And it's fun to talk about Lorcana. And it's just a great way to get to know the community.
Right. And what a year it's been, you know?
Yeah, a lot's happened. A lot has happened in a year.
Our lives have changed in small and big ways over the last year.
I shared on Twitter today a memory from Spiel last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we learned the names of the inks. And like, that was the type of news that we were dying for at the time.
Thirsty. Yeah. Thirsting for it. You're totally right.
Yep. We've come a long way.
And now I see it. Now I get, panic. Okay, whatever. It's panic day. I'm supposed to care about panic day. I'm already jaded.
It was pretty clever though.
Yeah. No. I'm not. I'm joking. I thought it was very cool.
So speaking of that, Eric, I wanted to take a moment to quote one of your recent articles because it kind of struck me. I'm kind of feeling the same thing. And this was kind of the topic of our podcast last week, talking about FOMO. So this is what you wrote. I am just 26 cards away from completing my full playset of Disney Lorcana's The First Chapter. To break that down, I just need 10 rares and 16 legendary cards, and I'll have 4 of every card in the set, which will allow me to build any deck I could possibly want to build. Ultimately, my goal is to collect 5 of each. 1 holo and 4 of each one, but 4 of each is my short-term goal, and all I really need in order to play whatever deck I choose. As I near completion of my collection and look back on what it took to get here, I'm starting to wonder if I can keep this up for every Lorcana expansion going forward. So with that context, first of all, where's your collection at now? And how have your thoughts changed since you wrote this article, if they've changed at all?
Okay, so it hasn't moved. I've gotten some 5th copies of stuff, but I'm still those 26 cards away. I'm gonna finish it, obviously. That would be a really weird place to stop. Like, nah, you know what? Close enough. I'm gonna finish it, and I've got some Wave 2 stuff pre-ordered. We can talk about that later, but I'm comfortable with what I've invested in Lorcana so far, and I think I talked about that in that piece as well. Like,
you break the numbers down.
It's the first chapter. It's Lorcana history. I was here at the beginning. Like, I invested a lot, and I feel fine about it. I have no regrets. about my spending on this game at this point. But at the same time, I'm thinking about November. I'm thinking about January after that, and then May after that, or April, whatever. Like it's never going to stop, and I'm excited to be part of this game forever. I just don't know how hard I'm realistically going to go, and I don't have the experience with other games to base it on. Like we're all new, all three of us are first time like hardcore TCG players all of a sudden. And a lot of your fans and a lot of the people that we talk to in the community are in the same boat. And it's just hard to imagine a year from now, am I still going to be going after 5 copies of every card? I kind of just don't think that's like super realistic for me. And that makes me sad. Like I'm already a little bit mourning the cards I'm not going to have that I don't even know exist yet.
I can 100% relate. I put up, it was my goal to collect 4 of every card. I'm not like you and James trying to collect 5 of each with the one hollow of each card.
Yeah.
I just wanted a set of 4. And like, I'm so at peace with the fact that I've done it. And I was fortunate to draw a duplicate enchanted, and I was able to trade that for a lot of the legendaries that I needed. It was a lot of cash that I splashed, but I 100% relate with what you're saying because I feel the same way. Like going forward, I'm trying to think to myself, like, I know it's not sustainable long term to get 4 of every card. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I think I could be content if I have at least 1 of every card and then a playset of the deck that I want to play, or maybe of specific inks that I want to like main or whatever.
Yeah. And I think for me, and I know James is a little bit the same way, I have a real problem committing to a deck or a color. I really don't want to be like, oh, I'm this kind of player. I don't want to just like pick a deck and run it. I want to be flexible. I want to experiment. I'm having the most fun with Lorcana by building new decks all the time, and you need all the cards if you want to do that. And I know that there's other people that are just like, I need a deck. Like, Joe Parlock, he plays Magic and he plays Lorcana and he builds a deck for each expansion. And that's the deck he plays. And he doesn't collect. He just invests as much as he needs to build the deck he's going to play. And lots of people are like that. And I'm so envious of those people because I can't commit, and it's not as fun for me to just play one deck. And I think, James, you're kind of the same way.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around collecting something and not collecting everything.
Right.
So, and then when you add in that it's a game where you have everything you collect is quite possibly something you would then play with or put in a deck at some point. I mean, obviously not certain cards because some cards are just bad, right? We've learned that. But just the fact that, at any given time, you can grab 2 inks, 4 cards out of everything and just pull and put together a deck and play with it and make something. It just doesn't feel right if I can't do that with every card that's available.
Right.
This goes back to the FOMO discussion last week, but with Amber being on the rise and seeing all these decks with Rapunzel in it. So for those of you who've been following along, when I had 16 cards left, 4 of them were Rapunzel. And every time I'd see like a meta breakdown, or I'd see the top 8 decks and there was an Amber deck and they all run 4 Rapunzels, I just had a huge pit in my stomach at the fact that I could not build that deck. So I totally relate with what you guys are saying.
When I was a Hearthstone player, I was a Hunter player because that's the way that I could budget my game. I would like pre-order, I'd open packs, and then everything that wasn't green was dust, and I used all that dust to make green cards. And it kept it mostly affordable for me. But the problem with playing that way is that when Hunter meta is in the toilet, I just didn't play the game. Like when an expansion came out, if Hunter didn't have good decks, I wasn't playing Hearthstone. And I don't want to be in that position with Lorcana. I don't want to find out, oh, Emerald sucks. It's kind of funny that I'm a green in both games. I'm a green guy. But yeah, I don't want to get to a point in 2, 3 expansions where it's like, ooh, it's not a good time to be an Emerald player. And then maybe I'm not excited to play. Like, I need lots of cards, but that's the push and pull with TCGs, I get.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough. I mean, I like you. I envy those people who can just build a deck and go out and play it every week and just make sure that they're the best at that deck and that deck is the best that they can do and just go for it. And
Unless that deck is Ruby Amethyst.
Ruby Amethyst.
Amen.
Then you can eat
The
my
bane
butt.
of our existence. So all of this about how we're going to collect and can we keep up just leads us right into one of the things we're going to talk about this week, and that's the fact that Ravensburger announced that we are getting the set 1 reprint, but they then announced last week that it's getting moved up into the holiday season this year instead of sometime in Q1 next year.
Right.
And we're getting both set 1 and set 2 reprints at the same time, which is crazy news. So let's talk about that. How awesome is that, first of all?
Yeah, great news, obviously. I think looking at the entire timeline, what that means is that we're going to get a big wave of product once a month. Because we're going to get the October dump this month, wave 2, which my understanding is that this reprint reschedule has nothing to do with the October LGS refresh. That's still happening.
Right.
I'm not like officially confirming that, but that's what I've been led to believe.
Well, we've heard already from a couple of people that work at stores or own stores that they already have their numbers coming in for what they're getting in October. They just don't know exactly when in October.
Okay, great. So we've got our October refresh. We've got set 2 release in November, and then we've got the reprint in December. So we know every month we're getting Lorcana, and in September we didn't. So like the game came out, and then we had 6 weeks of nothing, unless you unless you happen to walk into a Target and find 7 troves, James. But you know what I mean? Like knowing that there's gonna be availability every month makes such a difference because September was rough. September sucked. The game was new, everyone was excited, and there was nothing out there.
And what was out there was getting picked up in large chunks, mainly for reselling, I would say, which does really not make it feel good when you see all these pictures of large stashes of Lorcana.
Right. And that's still going to happen, right? Like we can't delude ourselves. Like it's not going to be easy. It's going to be better.
Yeah.
It's going to be better than how it's been.
I think the hope for me is this circles back to how we started. If there's product coming in October and then there's a set 1 reprint, the hope is that it brings those single prices down. So then instead of paying $60 for an Elsa, you're paying $30. I think if this game is more along the lines of Pokemon, where you can get, all the cards and maybe the alternate cards are more expensive, maybe that makes it more feasible to collect 4 of everyone, unless you're one of those people that has to have like all of the alternate art cards too. And then that's just another issue. But if you just want 4 of each card, if that's the direction that it's going, I think it would make it more feasible.
I think that it is sort of common sense to say, well, when there's more product out there, then the prices will naturally go down. There'll be more people competing to sell, which will raise the supply and lower the demand, and people will be opening more packs and getting the cards they need, and then they won't need to buy singles, so there'll be lower demand. That's common sense. I think that there are some factors though that complicate it. If they do not, after this December reprint, if they do not indicate that there is more chapter 1 ever coming again, then that's going to have a huge impact on the price of chapter 1 stuff. I mean, the reprint will help in the short term, but then if everybody knows for a fact that this is it, that's the end of the chapter 1 supply, we can't expect the price of chapter 1 singles to go back down until those cards aren't playable, until they get power crept or rotated out. So that's one thing. Secondly, I think that the way prices went up continuously is probably a pretty strong indicator for how Rise of the Floodborn is going to go. And maybe it would be wise to do your investing as early as possible. For this first set, I thought we got to wait till there's more product, keep waiting for more product. As more product comes, the price will go down, but it was so spaced out. And now it's going to be over possibly in December that I wonder, that I look back on when Rapunzel's were $35 that first week, we look back in when Elsa's and everything else were half the price they are now. And I wonder if maybe you should just buy your singles immediately. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. I still kick myself that I didn't buy Rapunzel's when they were $34 because I thought for sure, just like you, it was the day before the September 1 mass market release. And I was like, guaranteed when product hits the shelves, this card is going to go down in value. But instead, it almost doubled.
Yeah, the thing is, we had no baseline. We didn't know what a card could cost, but now we do. Like, we know how much a card that's as collectible and powerful as Rapunzel is going to be. And when we find out what that card is in Rise of the Floodborn, it's going to cost as much as a Rapunzel, probably immediately. We have a floor now. So so it's we had our first set and now we have our first expansion. Right? And in January we'll have our second expansion. So it's gonna take some time before we settle into any kind of rhythm or anything that's like predictable, anything that we can sort of like expect to happen with each set. This one is going to be as wild as the first one in a lot of ways, for sure.
Agreed.
Okay, great. So back to daily stalking targets.
Oh God, I can't do it anymore. It really that made me miserable in a way I wasn't expecting, which made it worse. Like the despair of driving, and like, because we live in Southern California, you don't head over to the store, you go on a journey, you fight traffic, like you put yourself in harm's way. I'm driving around LA trying to go Target.
Are you getting ready to drop the ring in the volcano?
That's how it feels sometimes. But yeah, man, I did some like I would get into these situations where I would see a tweet the second it got published. They're stocking Carson Target right now, and I'm like, that's 35 minutes away from me. I gotta go. I'm the first person to see this tweet. I get there, it's too late. Well, there's 9 Targets between where I live and where I am now, so I might as well check all of them on the way home. And suddenly I've spent an entire day going to Targets for nothing. And that happened to me like 3 or 4 times in September. Like, I can't live my life like that. It was really miserable.
Yeah, it's rough.
Because of my job, I'm not able to go out and do a lot of these big store huntings like you guys, so I missed out on that experience. But honestly, I'm not sad. Like, thinking about Rise of the Floodborn, I'm sitting here telling myself either I'm gonna get pre-orders or I'm just gonna have to wait until it's widely available, because honestly, I don't want to be that guy like when I have gone to Targets just to see what they have there. I almost feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I almost feel a little dirty when somebody's like, "Oh, can I help you? What are you looking for?" I'm like, just looking to see if you have any Lorcana. Like, you can tell they're like, "Oh, you're one of those guys." Like, I promise you, I haven't been here lining 12 people deep before. I just stopped in. That's what I want to say, but I'm just like, okay, thank you. I walk out. So, going forward, we've heard over and over again that it's impossible to get unscheduled printing time from these TCG printing places. So how do you think Ravensburger managed to get this reprint upped earlier?
Oh, I can't even speculate on that. When the TCG market really exploded during the pandemic, and Pokemon was getting criticized so much for the consequences of there not being enough product, they bought their printer. They said, we're going to print Pokemon cards from now on. And it's surprising to me that Magic doesn't do that already. I know Magic has like 4 different companies that it prints with or something. Like it pretty much just like dominates the entire printing market in that way, right? It's just partnered with everyone. But 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 it seems to me like if you want to be able to print the amount that's appropriate for your business, you need to be printing yourself. There's no other way around it. But I don't know. I don't have any insight into that side of the business, and I don't think many people do. I think there's a lot of speculation about how printing works.
That's fair. This I should have prefaced this would all be speculation. It is just so unusual because we've heard, again, speculation that these printing times are planned out months in advance.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time believing that another company just voluntarily gave their time up so that Ravensburger could print more Lorcana.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's just money. I think it's just they threw money at the problem.
Or the printing houses are expanding. They're buying more equipment because there's higher demand. They can make more money if they can print more cards. Like everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to expand infinitely. And if the market is growing, then the printing businesses need to grow too.
Yeah, if they weren't already running 24/7, now they're running 24/7. Who knows?
Yeah. It's clear that, I mean, obviously the demand was much higher than the supply, but what we don't know is how much higher. Like my sense is they could have had double and we would have had the same problem. Like having double the amount of Lorcana in the world, I would feel the same way today. I think we would be just as disappointed at the availability if there was twice as much out there. So I don't know what it takes.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So last week, one of the questions we answered was if we thought Rise of the Floodborn would be the Tickle Me Elmo of this year's Christmas season.
That's funny.
How big?
That's such an old man question, dude.
Right?
It was a big deal back in the day. I remember that as a kid.
Shopkins? I don't know what it is now.
If it was me, it would have been Cabbage Patch Kids. What about the
right?
That was when I was young. So how big of an impact do you think the reprint will have? Do you think that we'll actually be able to find Lorcana during the holiday season?
No. You mean like if we're comparing it to Tickle Me Elmo, I'm imagining this is when moms and dads are going out and being like, what's this Lorcana thing my kid keeps talking about? And they're like going to the specialty stores to try to get stuff. No, it's going to be just the TCG people just doing all the pre-orders, hopefully actually playing in events and getting product. Like, I don't think that there's going to be anything available for just the uncle that wants to get something for their nephew for Christmas. Like, yeah. My birthday was recent. Tina's sister is the sweetest. My partner is the sweetest woman on the planet, and she found, I think it was Card Addiction, in Orange or in Anaheim. I can't remember, but she found a starter deck for me and paid $35 for it. Because she doesn't know. They fleeced her, and she's so nice. She would have paid $50 for it. Like, she just wanted to give me a birthday present. But yeah, I mean, if that is an option for people, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be LGS is taking advantage of people that don't know, It
honestly feels like if you played another card game and you weren't aware that Lorcana existed, it almost feels like you could go on your whole day without even knowing that, like your whole life, not even knowing that Lorcana was a thing because the product is never there.
Just think about how many Target employees you've asked, like, oh, do you guys have any Lorcana behind the desk? And they've gone, what's that? They work at Target. They're faced with the resellers and the demand for Lorcana daily, and most of them have never heard of it. Like
Yeah.
they're in the bullet fire of Lorcana. Like it should be unavoidable for them, and they don't know what's going on. Like, no, this is not something that most people know about, despite how desperate we're all to get our hands on it.
In
So
my line
so
of work, I meet a lot of people, and I had a Target manager in today, and I was talking to him, asking him about Lorcana and what his experience was with it. He was like, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. Yep.
So that
wow.
does put
People
some
that
perspective
sell
on it.
Lorcana don't know what it is. Imagine how little the rest of the world cares about this right
And
now.
and what that tells me is that if any significant number of people are asking their relatives for Lorcana for Christmas, that it will indeed be a smaller version of Tickle Me Elmo, because the people will be out there looking, they won't be able to find it, and they'll have to go to places like local game stores, Facebook Marketplace, somewhere where they can figure out where it is and
Yeah.
pay the exorbitant prices, which is what was happening with all of these things that we've mentioned over the years, the Beanie Babies, the Tickle Me Elmos, the Cabbage Patch Kids, all of these things, they become this big, massive holiday market. And I don't think Lorcana will be so widespread that it's like national news, but I think it'll be its own little microcosm of that thing that happens, where there will be plenty of people going out there paying exorbitant prices for Lorcana, for their
Right.
family, for and friends, for gifts.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. There's there are so many opportunities for Ravensburger to lean into that though and take care of to alleviate the burden of that situation, because we're creating an artificial competition because of a holiday, right? Like holidays aren't real, right? This is a social construct. It's just a thing that happens on a day that we all agree that we have to go buy presents for. It's not like a natural occurrence. So what we have is people that want to buy Lorcana to play, that are regular players, now competing with this new market of gift givers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they could do, what Pokemon does, what lots of uh, commodities do, is you create a gift bundle, you create a holiday item, you create something low cost with low desirability with a basic promo card in it and one pack, and you put a snowflake on it, right? You create a what's the thing where you open the doors, an advent calendar that's got a Lorcana card in every slot. Like you create this thing that you can sell to the gift givers that's separate from the product that the players need to play their game. And that's something that could be next year, years down the line, or whatever. But that's especially if expansions are going to be coming out in mid-November, like they're going to need to do something like that to help alleviate that stress, because it's not fun right now. It's going to be especially not fun when I'm when I have to compete with everybody's mom to
I
get a
think that
pack.
might
really
be the
hope.
role the D100 gift
Yeah,
set
that's
is
what I was
supposed to
thinking.
fill.
Yeah, the D100. I think
It's
that
too collectible. It's way too collectible.
they need to print that into the ground. They
Yes.
need to make that thing just everywhere. They need to send 30, 40, 50 copies of that thing to every single store that is carrying Lorcana, not four.
Yeah,
Not
and
three.
it won't be like that. But in my vision, it's a low cost. Like 30 is probably still too much. It would be 50. It'd be like a pack and a promo with a snowflake on it. Like, and it would be everywhere. And it'd be like, okay, you want Lorcana? Check that off the list. Got it. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it needs to be. Those gift sets that's going to be crazy. That's going to be the most high profile Lorcana item that exists, right?
In theory, it's just to me with it being just like the same six cards in every single gift set. There's nothing super rare about them. They're not numbered. They're not limited in the way that people think that they're limited editions. It's just, I think people need to be smart about it and not give it that air of super high collectible awesomeness that it doesn't deserve. I mean, the cards are awesome. I mean, I'm not saying anything about the actual product itself. I'm just talking about the way people are looking at it. At the people that put it up on TCG Player immediately for like $1,200.
Sure,
like, it's a $50 gift set. That thing, even on the secondary market, that thing shouldn't be more than $100 because it's just 4 packs and 6 cards that every single set has. Just look at the Mulan and Hades. It's the same exact thing. Those are $2 giant cards. Double it because they're normal size. They're $4.
They're playable.
Cards,
yeah.
So I mean, everyone should just take a step back and be like, yes, they're awesome, but they're not, super limited numbered awesome.
Right. And there's not a alternate art Rapunzel in there,
Yeah.
It's got the 3/6 Maleficent though, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that's like I want a play set of those. Not
That's
the Maui or
I'd
the
like
Stitch. The rest of them are not. Oh, the new Mickey could be. That could be that might need to go in Amber decks.
Yeah.
The rest of them, yeah, you're totally right. They're just cards. But the 3/6 Maleficent and the Amber Mickey, those might be like playable. Those might be like, oh, now I need to buy 4 of those for those collections. Yeah.
So are those cards you would actually play? Because on Twitter, I'm getting
why not?
I put out there saying, I at least want one of these, and people like to play them, right? And for me, I don't know. Those aren't cards that, just like I don't play my enchanted cards, I probably wouldn't play those cards. That's just a me thing. But is that like,
yeah, your enchanted cards are $300.
It's true.
And you can't just go buy a box of them. These are going to be on a shelf. You can just buy a box of them, I hope.
I mean, if you just take them out of the gift set itself, you paid $24 for the packs. That means you paid $26 for these 6 cards. That means they're basically $4 to $5 each, straight retail price. If you're going to be playing with Rapunzels in your deck, why wouldn't you play with these? I mean, obviously the Elsa might be worth $20 on the aftermarket, where the Maui's only worth $2. But I don't think these are like Holy Grail type cards. Put them in your deck if you want to put them in your deck.
No, I don't think they're Holy Grail type cards either.
The thing is, these are our first retail promos. There's no other promo that you can buy.
Right.
You can win the OP kit ones. Like the rest you have to go to Germany to get or travel back in time to D23. Like, these are going to be the only promos that exist in a box, in a product that you can go buy.
But that box will be at every Target in America.
We hope.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, these are.
We won't ever see it. It'll be there, but we won't ever see it.
The only reason I don't play with promos is because I can't get them. I have one of every promo right now. But these, I would get 4 gift sets, and I would play a set of them. I might get 5 to put one in a binder too. I'm out of my mind.
You'd pay $200 to have a play set of each of these.
Well, you get the 4 packs too.
Yeah, you get packs too.
Well, you said you'd have a full play. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy these singles.
I'm gonna buy them. I'm not gonna buy them to get 4 of everything because they are promos. So I'm not going to consciously buy 5 or 6 or whatever it is to have, 1 put away and then 1 in my playset binder. But if gift sets are the only thing that I can find at any given time, I'm going to buy more gift sets for the cards, for the packs.
Just like in set 1. Yeah.
Just like in set 1. I mean, that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah. Man, we are the problem, aren't we?
I only foresee myself buying 1 of the gift sets.
That's reasonable.
I also don't see myself playing the cards and like the promo cards, and I don't.
You don't think that Amber Mickey's playable? You don't think that Amber Mickey might be playable?
Oh, I think Amber Mickey is definitely going to be playable. I don't know. Part of the other thing with me too is I like uniformity, so I like my cards to look the same, I guess. And
okay.
The idea of having, not only is it a different art from the other cards, but like the card design itself is different from the rest of the cards. And that bothers me.
Okay. I have a serious question. Do you play foils in your deck?
Yeah, I do play foils.
Oh, okay. Then you're lying right now.
Okay.
The design is the same. It's just the foiling. It's different.
This is just a different kind of foil.
Yeah.
Completely different art.
Yeah, it's completely different. Even the design stuff is in a different place, right? The text and all that.
No,
isn't it?
No, they're the same layout, same format.
Right.
Yeah, they've got that full art transparency that goes down into the text. That's all.
All right.
The layouts are exactly the same.
All right. Let's move on to the next discussion
All right.
here. So I ran a poll on Twitter asking people if their local Lorcana scenes have increased or decreased. And the results were surprising to me.
Mhm.
I'm just curious, what do you guys think? What do you think? Do you think there's been an overall increase or decrease?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. James, you want to start?
Yeah. So I've played at 4 stores semi regularly, and
Four?
four. Uh,
Four?
Atomic, Kingslayer, Shuffle and Cut, and Psycho Turtle.
I erased Atomic from my brain. All right, sorry, go on.
And with the exception of, actually, I think Kingslayer and Shuffle and Cut both have kept pretty much the same number. Kingslayer seems like it goes down because they cut like the number of tickets they sold,
right,
from like 40 to 36,
right.
But they still sell out.
Yes, and they still have a wait list.
And they still have a wait list.
Yeah.
Shuffle and Cut's been full every single time we've gone. In fact, that one sells out like an hour before it starts.
It's been getting worse. Yeah.
Because they only do in-person signups. Atomic went down a little bit, but they were still, when I last played there, they were still getting like 20 people or somewhere between like 15 and 20 people when they had a max of 24.
Right. It was always low anyway.
Yeah, and Psycho Turtle was always getting 20 because I didn't go there at the beginning, so I don't know what they had at the beginning, but they were sitting around the same every week I went there.
Right.
So none of them that we are going to are really decreasing significantly, and most are holding steady.
Well, maybe it's just me in my experience. I go to local stores here. The first week I went, there was like 32 people, and the last several weeks it was like 16. And then the other place, I didn't start out there. I've only been there a couple times the last couple weeks, and it's been about, again, like 15, 16 people. But when I ran the poll, there has been 353 people who voted. And I put in an option of you guys had a local scene, just for people who wanted to participate, but probably lived somewhere that Lorcana isn't being sold. So that had the highest vote count of 39%, but I'm just going to like disregard that. So 37% say that their local scene has increased. That surprised me. 16% say that it has decreased by less than 50%, and 8% said that it has decreased by more than 50%, which would be like my case. I was just surprised that it has increased overwhelmingly from the people who voted.
So I think those people are lying. Only because you can't increase above the maximum number of players. Like what are they basing an increase on if they show up and it's full, and then next week it's full, and then the next week it's full? How are they determining that it's increasing?
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
This isn't scientific, I guess, but I just think point.
I think they don't want to. I think they see a poll like that and they don't want to be like, oh, Lorcana's dying already, and they're like, no, it's getting more popular. That's what my gut tells me.
So,
but I'm just saying, if all my stores are full, I have no way of determining if they are increasing or decreasing because they're full. How can it be growing if there's no more spots for people to play?
I think, like, in my experience, like with the store I used to play at Power 9, I don't think they had a cap. Like, I think they would have been willing to allot as much room as was demanded.
Well, the fire department determines the cap.
Well, okay, we're not going to have 500 people in there, right? But if we started with 32 and 50 people wanted to play, I think they would have accommodated that. Well, you know what? That's not true because they did have a league pass. But people could also come and pay week by week to play. So I don't know. Okay, that's a flawed question.
My experience has been that more people will go where prizes are available. The stores that are the most popular are the ones that have the most packs available. But even at my stores where they are out of stuff, people are still showing up to play. They're still showing up to get promos and pins. And I'm seeing more regulars. I think that early, the first 2-3 weeks, I saw lots of different people all the time. And now I see the same people every time. But the games are still full. It's just we're settling on who's gonna be showing up every week.
And that's just at the ones where they're basically out of product or they're only
Uh-huh.
doing like one pack. But even just last week on the final day that Shuffle and Cut was going to have product until the restock, I talked to multiple people who had barely gotten any product and had barely played the game and didn't even have more than like a starter deck with a few cards. And they were still showing up from like they drove from like up in LA somewhere, come down to this just to have a chance to be able to get a little bit of product. And so there are people who are out there hunting for places to play and still hunting for product. So I think that the whole it's growing thing may be a little bit because people are seeing those people come around,
Right.
more people asking about it and more people showing up, where if someone drops off because they can't make it this week, that spot is filled by someone different. And so it's still full. It's full with different people in some weeks. We're seeing different people show up at the same place because we've been there every single week. And so I think that, I think the game is definitely holding. It's just the amount of product that's the problem. We're always talking about it. It's the product, not the people. People are loving this game. People want to play this game.
Yeah, and I think there's a natural cycle that happens when in a brand new game from people I've talked to that play different games. They come to Lorcana, they want to try it out. Some people it's for them, and some people it's not. And so people are falling off the game right away. But then more people are learning about it. More people are getting exposed to it. My brother came out to visit, had never played a game. We played all weekend. And then by the time he left, he was calling his stores to find out who was running events. And we're all ambassadors for the game and we're all exposing more people to it. And a certain percentage of those people are going to become fans who aren't fans already. So there is always going to be a churn of people coming and going, but there's certainly no fear that the game is already falling off. Certainly
No,
not.
that wasn't my intention behind the question.
I don't think so. I'm saying that's how people would interpret when they saw a poll like that. I'm not suggesting that that's what you were getting at.
Yeah, because in my mind, because I only have my experience, and I attribute the decrease to the lack of product availability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I see some of them, they're there the same night playing Magic, and they're like, "Well, I enjoyed Lorcana." Some of them say, "But Magic's my first love." But a lot of them say, "I just am tired of using starter decks and getting beat by people with these Ruby Amethyst control decks."
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. I see. I play against people with bad decks, and my first instinct is like, why did you build such a bad deck? And then I realize that's all the cards you have. I am an incredibly privileged person who has more cards because I got to go to Gen Con and whatever. I get to spend more time going to stores because my job is flexible. But I play with people all the time that have opened 10 packs. They've gotten a pack a week going to their store and they're still building out their starter decks.
Yeah, it's again, we're very privileged and to be able to have gotten to buy as much product as we have. And like it's crazy seeing it, but those people that I saw last weekend where I have those a trove full of commons and uncommons that I take every time in case someone's asking for something.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I was able to give them like cards that we probably have thrown away, maybe like Smash or something. I gave them extra copies of Smash and a few other things in the colors that they were building, and they were so happy to get cards. I'm like, yeah, just take them. And it's like it's like that whole thing of like people just want cards to play with, and that's all they want. They just want to be able to play the game.
The last game I played in, we all got one pack. I opened my pack. My rares were a Moana and a Steal from the Rich, and just some uncommon hollow. And I just handed my pack to the guy across the table, and he was like, "What? No, what are you doing?" Like, he didn't trust me. He thought I was being weird. Like I was trying to do some kind of weird thing, but I was like, I literally just don't want any of these cards. That's where I'm at right now.
First
And
world.
and he's at a completely different place with the game.
All right, so let's talk about this little nugget here in the Live Laugh Lorcana podcast. Katie and Becky were talking about the new player experience with Lorcana, and one of the questions that they asked and then were talking about was they were wondering about this idea of throwing a game for new players. You intentionally lose to a new player to give them a good experience,
right?
And I thought that was pretty interesting. And where do you fall on that subject?
That is interesting. So my pal Joshua Yell at IGN, he says you always let them win the first game, no matter what. If he's teaching somebody Pokemon, that's his main game, or Lorcana now. If he's teaching someone the game, he lets them win the first game. And I adopted that from him when I teach people, because well, simply, I want them to have a good experience. I want them to see a game through to the end. I don't want their first experience with the game to be, I'm bad at this. And I want them to like it. And is it like manipulative? Yeah, for sure. But if they actually don't like the game, they'll find out themselves pretty quickly. If I'm just gonna play one game with them, I think it's pretty innocent to throw. I do. I do it every time.
Yeah, I was listening to their podcast and I had some thoughts on this because this is a discussion my wife and I have all the time because we like to play games, lots of games. She doesn't like Lorcana, but we play board games, card games, and she is very competitive. And she's like, if the kids win a game, I want them to know that they've earned the game. And then I'm coming up.
Sounds like Ryan.
I'm coming at it from the perspective of I want my kids to have fun. I want them to keep coming back. I've gone through streaks of playing different games, throughout the years where I get beat over and over and over and over. Cause like I said, she's very competitive and it's like almost not fun anymore.
Right.
And conversely too, when I go on runs where I'm winning over and over and over again, like she gets really upset. and then she'll refuse to play. Like we played Mario Kart and she refused to learn how to use the drift function.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned the drift and I started winning every game. She would not play again for 6 months. That's how long it took to convince her to play with me. So in my experience, I like for the new players and for especially for like kids, I enjoy letting them win. I want them to have a good experience and I want them to come back.
Right. John T likes to say that fun is a zero-sum game. But that mentality takes for granted that winning is the only way to have fun. And playing a game with someone I like and exposing them to something that is special to me is fun. I don't need to win. And I also don't think that everybody has the same competitive spirit that your wife does. And you need to make space for all types of players in this game. And the stores that run leagues that aren't fiercely competitive are running their events in the spirit that the game is intended. That's how Ryan Miller sold this game before it came out. That's how he described what organized play would look like. And I think that at this early stage, that's good and healthy. Despite how much of a tryhard I am and how much winning is important to me and how much I hate losing to Ruby Amethyst decks, I think that sort of separating the communal player value of the game from the competitive value of it is really important. I think it's an important thing to keep in mind.
Teaching someone the game, I think, is different than when you're sitting down at a Lorcana event that you've paid money for. And the person is like, I'm new, I have a starter deck. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to let you win, but I'm definitely not going to beat you in 4 turns. You definitely alter your play style a little bit for someone like that, where you try and let them get a taste of the game more than just getting stomped because they don't have a
Right.
deck. So I think that's definitely a factor as well. But yeah, if you're teaching someone, why wouldn't you let them win, or at least get a taste of what it's like to win over a few games, even if they don't win every single one? Because why teach them, let them have fun with the game. I mean, winning is fun when you're learning a game. It helps you to have that good feeling going forward, makes you want to play some more.
Yeah, why would you want to play a game that you've already decided you're bad at?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's moving to our ending segments here. Let's start with Lorcana Lexicon, and this is one that you'll probably see in print more than people talking about it, but it's BO1 versus BO3, which essentially means best of 1 versus best of 3 when you're in a competitive format. And the thing that brought this to my mind was there's a store here in Las Vegas that is going to start running Lorcana tournaments for the first time, and it said that the tournament style was going to be BO1. And so I thought if people weren't familiar with the terminology, they may not know what BO1 means.
Mm-hmm. On that same thread, I don't understand like X and 1. I know it means I won all my games except 1, but just say how many games that is. Like, why? What is the X? Just if you won 4 games, then say 4 and 1. What does that mean? Am I missing something?
If you know the answer to this, please post it in the comments.
Yeah, because I mean, if I won 4 games, I'm going to brag that I won 4 games.
Just say 4. Yeah, it's like it might have something to do with like qualifying. Like the X is how many games I needed to win to qualify for top 8 or whatever. So I say X and 1 instead of 4 and 1, so that you know that I won enough. But I'd want to know how many games you won.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I haven't seen much of that, but I also am not paying that close of attention to all those different.
People on Twitter use that terminology all the time.
Right. Yeah, I don't really get that. But I'm a noob.
Yeah. We did get in the last week a pretty good amount of news. First up, we've got, Donald, the Musketeer promo is going to be given out at Spiel in Germany. As Jared mentioned, it was where we got the ink names for the first time. And now we're going to finish our Musketeer set. So good luck, everyone, getting a promo being handed out in Germany.
I wrote about regional promos, and I don't have an inherent bias against regional promos. I kind of don't think that they're doing what a promo ought to do. They're not incentivizing you to do something. They're just a reward for the people that were already going to do that thing. Nobody's going to Spiel to get that. The people that are going to Spiel get that.
Right.
And no one is flying to Germany to get that card, because no matter how much it is, and it's probably going to be $200 on eBay, that's cheaper than a ticket to Germany and into the convention. Like, I think that you're just creating this sort of unhealthy secondary market when you say, oh, the 10,000 people that went to this event in this country can have this thing for free. I have some problems with regional. And by the same token, when I get to show up at Gamescom and get the promo, I'm psyched about it. So I can acknowledge the cognitive dissonance there, but there's something about regional promos that kind of is rubbing me the wrong way. And now that we've had 2 in Germany, I'm like, okay, is this going to be how it is?
Yeah, are we always going to be trying to get promos from Germany forever since Ravensburger's based there?
Yeah. I thought it would be EGX. Why isn't it EGX?
I don't even know what EGS is.
Say, do we even know what EGX is?
EGX is a big London game convention.
Oh, no, that's the other news was it looks like they're doing a promo at London MCM.
Right.
Which
is a comic convention.
Yeah, the comic convention.
Not the game one.
which is going to be, we don't know which promo technically, but Lorcana player posted about it. They found the post in the tournament center, and it looks like there's going to be a Gaston promo,
Right.
maybe more than one promo. We don't know, and they all have. It's like there's a scavenger hunt, and you can go by the booth and learn gameplay to get it. We don't know. There's more information coming probably at some point, but we do know that London is having a promo, and it's probably going to be Gaston, and there might be more than one.
Yeah. Promos aren't a big deal unless you have goopy goblin collector brain like me and James.
Horrible.
It's really, I'm not mad about it. I'm not gonna like cause a fuss. It's just it doesn't feel good when all these cards come out of Germany and I go, well, I guess I'm gonna pay somebody that doesn't even care about Lorcana $200 for this because they happen to be in Germany. Like, it feels bad.
We'll see.
Next,
new cards.
I'm fired up now. Oh, new cards, yeah.
Yeah. So first up is Mulan. I'll take this one. Mulan is in Ruby. It's the image that's on the sleeves and deck box.
Yeah.
It's an uninkable 4-cost, 4/3 with 1 lore, and it has Rush. And that's pretty simple.
How come it feels like this card came out 3 weeks ago?
Right?
I know. Okay, so this this easily threatens 2/4s, and we have a couple 2/4s that are kind of nasty. So this takes out Mad Hatter and gets to stick around. This takes out Jasper, which is really good. Obviously it's like whatever against Cusco. So I deem it fine. It's fine, probably not playable, but if I got it in a sealed, I'd probably run it.
Yeah, the uninkable makes it tough to want to include in your deck.
Yeah, all these rushes are uninkable, aren't they?
All of them except for Maui. I think they're
Maui
all
for some
uninkable.
reason. And he has Reckless and Rush.
Yeah. Boy, we didn't know how incredible that card was.
Nope.
All right. Next up, we have a 3-cost action on Emerald called Hypnotize, and it features Ka from the Jungle Book. And I love the art on this card. So it says each opponent chooses and discards a card, draw a card. And I know a lot of people are trashing this because it's a 3-cost, but I'm just saying, if you're playing Emerald, you play Flynn turn 2. Turn 3, you sing Sudden Chill, play Hypnotize, and your opponent has very few cards left in hand. And if you're on Amber, turn 4, play You Have Forgotten Me.
Woo! Yeah, that'd be nasty. I think that this is core until we get better draw options in Emerald. We're leaning on Mad Hatter to do all of our work, and it's just so easy to cancel. I think this is going to be a core card until we have better options, and also we need to start thinking about the cost mitigation that Emerald has around action cards, which we can get into more when we look at the next card. But I think we're going to start seeing some more action focused Emerald decks going forward, and Hypnotize will fit nicely into that.
And let's not forget that they have done a few times now where there's an action card with a name like Hypnotize or Dragonfire or Fan the Flames, where there's a character card with that same action and ability built into the character that makes that character that much better.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to imagine what that might cost, because I think about like Ursula, which lets you draw a card, and on Inkable 7, it also takes a lore from them. But like, if you were going to have a Ka that let you draw a card and make them discard, it would have to be at least an uninkable 7. That's an expensive card,
unless it just doesn't have that 3 lore.
True. Yeah, it might just have a really big body, and 1 lore. It could have bodyguard. Who knows?
We'll find out someday.
Yeah.
And next up, we have they revealed one of the 4 cards that we already saw part of on the OP kit, the Minnie Mouse Wide-Eyed Diver. The 4 cost inkable 2/3 are the stats, and it is Floodborn with 1 lore, Shift 2, and Evasive. And the ability Undersea Adventure is whenever you play a second action in a turn, this character gets +2 lore this turn. So it's a really good ability, but it is like very specific on usage. And so it's not something I think that you build around. But if you happen to have it happen on your turn, extra lore.
Yeah, this one's been really funny to watch the reactions to because it reminds me a lot of pre-release when every card was the best card ever and every thing was like magical Christmas land, like the best draw to activate it. And I'm seeing people be like, oh, by turn 3 and you play 2 actions. And it's like people are imagining spending 7 cards to get to turn 3 to quest for 3. Like, um, it's really fun to think about the different interactions you can do with this thing. It's certainly not broken. I had to respond to somebody, no shade to whoever it was, but they were like saying this card was broken, and I was like, anything that dies to smash is not broken. let's calm down a little bit, you know.
I'll say this. I think it's better than a lot of people think it's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be broken either. Like, I think it's going to find a niche deck that will make it run, probably as effective as Tamatoa does in an item slinger deck. Like, when it works, it's going to work well, but it's not something that's going to break the game.
Yeah. James and I were trying to imagine some like hyper aggro, really low to the ground Ruby Emerald evasive decks that were like just evasives and actions, and some fun things that you could do with songs, and some fun things that you could do with Dr. Facilier's cards and do it again, and just sort of like trying to do action loops the way that Amber people have been doing Hades loops, and I think there's something there. But I also have been seeing people come up with it's fun to imagine what kind of unplayable cards today could be activated by a new card in the next set. That's one of the best things about spoiler season. But people are like, oh, Artful Rogue is coming up to the top. The stupid 8-cost genie's finally gonna get used. It's like I don't think this 2/3 evasive mini is gonna turn on all these cards that are bad. I just I don't think this is the core of your suddenly action high cost action deck. I'm not seeing it.
Why you gotta rain on people's parades here, Eric?
It is fun. It is fun to imagine, but just pointing out a card that has action synergies and being like, here we go. Like I don't think that's enough. I don't think Genie Powers Unleashed is suddenly playable because Mini wants you to play 2 actions.
Yeah.
No, sir.
And I heard on a different topic, the art is really nice on this, but I heard someone say it kind of gives them like steampunky vibes. And I'm like, no, this totally gives me Iron Man vibes. This is like Iron Man underwater.
It's also like Journey. It's like Jules Verne, right? She's got this turn of the century aesthetic. To me, it looks like she's swimming towards Ursula's little creepy little
shell
cave
cauldron thing, right?
There. Yeah. So
totally.
it'd be nice to find out that this one, because she has no lore, or you know what I mean. She has no flavor text,
right?
So it'd be cool to see if this one ties into some story stuff. We'll see.
We shall see.
All right, so the last card we have is also an emerald. It's funny, we went from Ruby Emerald to Ruby Emerald. It's a 3-cost uninkable Panic Underworld Imp. Hades sidekick. He's 2 strength, 3 willpower. He has the ability I can handle it. When you play this character, chosen character gets +2 willpower this turn. If the chosen character is named Pain, he gets +4 willpower instead.
Strength.
Strength. Sorry. He has 2 lore, which makes it nice. This makes me think we're going to get a 1 or 2 cost Pain that is probably like a 2/5 body or something like that. Otherwise, I don't see how this makes sense. The ability.
Yeah.
So we hope Pain has Rush, right?
Yeah.
And you can play them together. Otherwise, the Flotsam Jetsam thing's not really that useful. This is cheaper. So it's interesting. I don't think this replaces Cheshire. I don't. I can see why somebody would say that. It's got the combat trick. It's faster than Cheshire. Cheshire's slow. Um, but yeah, I don't unless the panic combo is really over the top. I don't think this replaces Cheshire in my opinion. But I love the way that we're gonna get some little montage art here, maybe even like a triptych. If you can put a new Hades in between them and have Pain and Panic on either side, that will be really cool.
That would be cool.
Yes, the art's really nice on this, and you can tell that that's the flowing bits of the bottom of Hades' robe there on the right side of the art. So yeah, that's why we're all considering that this is going to be multiple cards having a connection here.
Yeah, definitely Pain, but hopefully all three of them.
All right, I think that was it for the news, right?
I think so.
And that means we're on to Disney trivia.
Woo! Oh God.
And we're going to test Eric again.
I'm really bad at this. You guys make it hard though.
We've given you tough questions. All right, for 100. This is the name of the fish that Lilo thinks controls the weather in Lilo and Stitch.
Well, that's not hard, but first I have to ask, 100 what?
We're playing Disney Jeopardy. I know
It's
James said Disney
points.
trivia.
100 points. Okay. Well, obviously it's Pudge controls the weather.
Who is Pudge? Just teasing. Yes, we'll give it to you.
Floodworm Pudge.
For 200, this is what Lilo feeds Pudge in order to keep the weather under control.
A peanut butter sandwich.
Correct. For 300, this is the Disney Lorcana card that features Pudge the fish.
It's Stitch something surfer, Carefree Surfer.
There you go. Are you sensing a theme here?
Yeah, you made easy ones that I would definitely know, and I appreciate it.
For 400, this is Walt Disney's brother who co-founded Disney Brothers Cartoon Studios in 1923.
Roy Disney.
Ding, 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 ding. And I will point out the Walt Disney Corporation, or whatever this one was founded on October 16th, which is my birthday. So just saying.
A Disney baby.
For 500 here, this is Walt Disney's middle name.
Man, I thought I was gonna finally get them all.
You know,
Walter G. Disney.
E.
Think about something at Disneyland or DCA.
Okay. And it's a thing that starts with an E, and it's at Disneyland or California Adventure, and it's an electric light parade. Walter Electric Light Parade Disney.
It's the store at the end of
the store. Yes. DCA. The store at the end of the street is an Etnies. It's an Etnie.
I think, isn't it his father's name or his grandfather's name as well?
Oh, Grandpa Elvis. Walter Elvis. Darn it.
It's what is Elias? Walter Elias Disney.
Elias. The store's called Elias?
It's Elias and Sons, I think.
Huh. I never knew that.
Or something. Or Elias. What is it? It's that fancy store at the end of with the Elias and Company.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh man, I thought you were gonna get it.
I thought so too. You can blame me. I'm the one who came up with these questions. I'm like, let's throw him 3 softballs and then get a little bit into Disney here to test his knowledge.
Those were good questions. All right, let's wrap this up. Eric, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Can I plug? What day is this coming out?
Friday.
Perfect. Please read my Pixelborn expose. Me and Pavel, Mr. Pixelborn himself, we sat down, we got into it, we talked for 2 hours. It's a big one. It's a big, meaty boy, and I would really appreciate if everyone would read it, especially if you like Pixelborn. It's a great piece, if I do say so myself. And Pavel's the best.
He really is.
You'll love him even more after you read this thing. I really would like everybody to check this one out. It's on The Gamer.
Yeah, I got to hang out with him at Gen Con. I don't know
Yeah.
how much he hung out with him there, but
I did.
just the fact that he came out from Bulgaria and for no
He
other reason
is-
than to be a part of the zeitgeist of the moment of Lorcana coming out.
Yeah.
And he's just like the nicest person. So I am really
Sweetest,
looking
most
forward.
humble guy. He's had such an interesting life. And I hope Pixelborn lives forever. So please check out this story. I think it's a really interesting one for Lorcana fans.
I want a sneak peek. Okay, I'll wait till Friday. So if you liked what you heard here, you can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe to us on the podcasting platform of your choice. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at Citizens of Lorcana. And James, finish us off.
You can find me everywhere online at Dan Regal, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for links for my wife and I, photography, social media, all that kind of stuff. And thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.